Don't believe the BS. Black people ain't down with Donald Trump. A Florida conservative radio host says he and his team are responsible for the AI-generated images of Donald Trump posing with black voters. They've been posted on social media. The images were created by Mark Kay, one of a dozen discovered by BBC Panorama. These fake images of black Trump supporters generated by artificial intelligence are one of the emerging disinformation trends ahead of November's presidential election. This goes to show you, Omakongo, they cannot attract black people, and so they got to create fake black people.
I think of President Biden, he kind of sold a dream that he couldn't accomplish. His famous quote was that for African American, you weren't black if you didn't vote for Joe Biden.
What do you think of former President Trump?
I think President Trump was a bad people's person, but a great leader. He put our economy in a booming state. He provided a permanent funding for all HBCUs.
All right, guys, so the left is in full-blown panic mode about the idea of black people leaving the Democrat Party, okay? And you have some reality denialism going on the left, where you have people coming out and saying that, no, that's not happening, okay? Black people are not going to support Trump. They're not going to vote for Trump. Now, here's the thing. I'm not sure if that's the case, okay? I told you guys, my expectations are not very high when it comes to whether or not there will be a significant shift in the black vote towards Trump. But I have my hopes up, right? But however, this time around, if Trump does not get a significant shift in the black vote, then it's over, right? There is no hope, okay? And the black vote will forever be irrelevant, okay? But we'll see, okay? We will see, because I think that we probably won't see much movement among black women, but we'll probably see a lot of movement among black men. I'm hoping that 30 to 40% of black men come out and vote for Trump or vote Republican, okay? I'm hoping that that is what we say. And it seems like we are getting some movement, according to the polls in the mainstream liberal media. They're saying that black voters are shifting over towards Trump. I mean, again, it's not over 50%, which, you would like to see. Like, for example, when you have Hispanics, Latinos, yeah, I mean, they basically support Trump now. Black people are the only racial demographic in this country that overwhelmingly votes for one political party. And people act like that's a good thing. That's not a good thing, and that's not normal, okay? That would suggest that there is some serious lack of thinking that is going on among that demographic of people. If you're the only demographic that is overwhelmingly voting for one political party, it just doesn't make any sense, right? It makes no sense whatsoever. So with that being said, we have to react to a video by BET, okay, Black Entertainment Network, because they are talking to black voters about Biden versus Trump, and you have some black voters coming out and saying that, hey, I'm outright gonna vote for Trump, or have abandoned Biden and saying I'm gonna vote for Trump, or are on the verge of voting for Trump. And when BET is putting out programming suggesting that black voters are shifting towards Trump, I think that we may have something real going on here, right? I think there may be an actual real shift that is happening, and I'm hoping that is the case. So without further ado, let's actually react to this.
The race for the White House is coming into focus after Super Tuesday. The country appears to be headed toward a rematch between President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump. Just like in 2020, black voters will play a critical role in the outcome of this election.
Well, they claim that black women saved the country from Trump, right? And if that's the case, then I guess you can blame liberal black women for the state that the country is currently in under Joe Biden, because they saved democracy. But it just so happens, when you fast forward to 2024, okay, I don't think it's a coincidence that you see a lot of liberal black women starting to take some L's, okay? They're taking a whole lot of L's lately, okay? But what is really going to come down to in regards to the importance of the black vote really is not how much they vote for Democrats over Republicans, okay, in the sense of, when we're talking about percentage-wise, because 90% black people voting for Democrats is a normal thing, okay? It's been like that basically since the civil rights era, and Republicans have won regardless. What it really comes down to is how many of them actually come out and vote, okay? If there is a large turnout of black voters, then that's going to be a problem, especially if they are voting for Democrats at a 90% clip. Okay. However, if there is low turnout of black voters, even if they vote for Democrats at 90%, the Democrats are probably going to lose. And this fact is very relevant when we're talking about large population centers, so large liberal cities in red states. Okay, so think states like Georgia or a Pennsylvania, okay, where you have cities like Philadelphia, large black population, cities like Atlanta, large black population. If a ton of black people show up to vote Democrat, okay, at a 90% clip, then that spells bad news for Republicans, because those states are decided by popular vote. Okay, so if you have these black voters putting Democrats over the edge, even though the rest of the state is voting the right way, right, so to speak, then that's how a state like Pennsylvania can flip blue, okay, or how a state like Georgia can flip blue, even though the state is overwhelmingly red. Okay, that's typically what happens. However, if that turnout is low, you don't have that same effect, in the sense that most likely the state is going to go red. Okay, when you're talking about a swing state like a Pennsylvania or a Georgia. In fact, those states are only swing states literally because you have a group of people in a very small area, but a large population of them just voting one way, all voting for Democrats. It's pretty fascinating stuff. But with that being said, the turnout problem is going to be a huge problem for Democrats, because quite honestly, nobody is motivated to vote for Joe Biden due to the state of the country, the economy, the border, crime. A lot of people are just not motivated to vote for Joe Biden. Okay, Joe Biden has not fulfilled any of the woke promises that he made to the black liberals that voted for him. So there's not much of an incentive to come out in droves and to vote for Joe Biden the way that they kind of came out in droves and voted for Joe Biden. But really, it was a vote against Trump, okay? Because, again, the Trump derangement was at its peak in 2020, okay? So with that being said, again, I think that the turnout problem for Joe Biden is going to be an issue. And I think videos like this is exactly what I'm talking about.
More than 34 million African Americans are projected to be eligible to vote this year, and one of the largest blocks of black voters is in Georgia. We traveled to the battleground state to hear what people are thinking and feeling about the state of the presidential race in 2024. Johnny Daniel has been shaping up heads for more than a decade at Supreme's Barbershop in the heart of Henry County, Georgia.
It was mostly Republican, and then I think when Obama came in, it started to shift.
Which swung by more than 16 points for President Biden in 2020.
I want to thank you, the people of Georgia.
And helped Democrats flip the peach state for the first time in nearly 30 years. Why did you vote for President Biden in the last
Because
election?
of who he ran with, and he was in the White House for the 8 previous years. I felt like he had the experience, but definitively right now, I couldn't tell you that if they open the polls tomorrow, I'm voting for Joe Biden.
So what changed?
Life, the inflation, and the things that we're going through right now. I want the right person so that I'm not paying $8 for eggs, $15 for gas.
Even though things may be improving economically, but you feel there's a disconnect.
Yeah, there is a disconnect. The way these last 3 or 4 years have been, this is the worst it's ever been in my life. I never would have even considered thinking about voting for Donald Trump. But living in America these last 4, it's a consideration.
Yeah, so again, this is a Democrat's worst nightmare right here, okay? Because this guy is not a Trump voter, right? But he's somebody that would probably kind of just sit it out and be like, you know what? I don't necessarily know if I want to vote for Trump, which again, I think is kind of ridiculous. I mean, there is no reason for him not to vote for Trump, considering that he is a business owner. He's clearly concerned about the economy, the price of goods and services, things like that. If economics is his biggest fear, again, there is no logical reason why he shouldn't vote for Trump. But again, you got to take what you can get with some of these individuals, right? Because my point is that this person choosing not to vote is actually a vote for Trump, right? It is a win for Trump if a person like this sits out and says, you know what, I can't vote for Biden because Biden has been the worst president of my lifetime. That's essentially what he's saying. But I also don't want to vote for Trump. That's basically a vote for Trump. Because again, what really matters the most is how many of these people come out and vote, right? The turnout is what really matters. okay? Because a lot of these people, again, they're probably gonna vote for Biden regardless. But again, if a lot of them aren't motivated to vote because they feel like Biden has done a bad job, even if they don't vote Trump, them not turning out to vote is actually still a W, right? It's still actually a win for Trump.
Consideration that's reflected in some polls. While 77% of likely black voters say they intend to support Mr. Biden, former President Trump leads Biden in several battleground states, including Georgia, where he lost by roughly 12,000 votes and faces charges of election interference.
That's why the black people like me, because they have been hurt so badly and discriminated against.
The politics are an ongoing debate between Azad Ahmadi, member of the Georgia Black Republicans, and his girlfriend Alexandra, a registered Democrat, who at times sit on opposite sides of the aisle.
So even though you have political differences, it's not a deal breaker.
No, it's not a deal breaker.
Oh, no, absolutely not.
So in 2008 and 2012, you voted for
Barack Obama.
Barack Obama.
2016.
I voted for Donald Trump.
Hillary Clinton.
2020.
Donald Trump.
Biden.
And who will you vote for in 2024?
Donald Trump.
Donald Trump.
Wow.
You may vote for the former president.
I may.
Why do you say that?
My views on certain things have changed. I am very much so riding the fence.
What are you struggling with?
Being in a pattern of doing the same thing that I've been doing, because it's kind of like second nature. Like when you go in a poll, you hit Democrat. Something has to happen. I mean, it's just so expensive to survive. And we're planning on having kids. I don't want to live in a stressful environment trying to rub two pennies together to try to make it either.
When did you make that decision to check a different box?
Donald Trump's first term. I'm saying first term because I'm pretty sure he'll be in there for a second term here soon. But in either case, post-Obama, I decided that the party just wasn't suitable to the goals that I had.
How did you come to that conclusion? Because at the end of the day, former President Obama was the first African-American president in history.
That's just
I
true.
mean, as a black man, I would assume that meant something.
Absolutely. You know, I attended the inauguration on his first term. I grew up outside of Washington, D.C. in the 80s and 90s, came through the system as an institutional Democrat, went through a lot of the experiences that young black men go through, good and bad, ended up leaving that environment, grew up, started looking at the world through a new lens.
Black men.
Yeah, AKA the real world, right? AKA the real world, okay? That's what happens every single time. And this is why, this is why they fear black men so much, right? This is why, what's gonna happen is, this is what's gonna happen, okay? Obviously, they're gonna blame the white man by default. The white man always gonna get the blame by default, okay? But they're gonna throw the black man in there too. They're gonna throw the Latino man. They just gonna throw all men in there. This is what they're gonna do, okay? When Trump wins, okay? When he wins, they're gonna point at guys like this, okay? They're gonna point at the Latino man, Hispanic man. They're gonna point at the white man. They can say, well, it's the man's fault, okay? Because, see, this guy is thinking rationally. His wife, on the other hand, it took economic disaster for her to start thinking rationally about how she votes, okay? Because she voted for Obama, Hillary, and Biden, okay? She's a tried and true Democrat, right? Her husband, though, even though he was a institutional Democrat, he went to Obama's inauguration, it did not take all of this for him to realize that, okay, I need to leave that, right? I need to try something else. I need to open up my eyes to reality, okay? And he did that in 2016 by voting for Trump, right? Voted for Trump in 2016. Understood that the economy was great under Trump. We were respected on the world stage under Trump. Our country's in a much better place under Trump. The border was better. Crime was under control for the most part. Voted for Trump again in 2020. Now he's saying, well, I'm going to vote for Trump again in 2024, okay? Again, this is a black man who uses logic and reasoning, right? He's in touch with reality. He's not thinking with his emotions. Clearly, skin color is a factor because, again, he supported Obama. And he said, yeah, it meant something to him that Obama was the first black, president, even though Obama's half white and half East African. But, it is what it is. His wife, on the other hand, though, doesn't matter what the reality was. Doesn't matter that her husband clearly was not on the same page with her. She continued to vote Democrat because that's what you're supposed to do. And black women are, in my opinion, they're the biggest lost cause. Okay, they are basically going to vote Democrat no matter what. Okay, but I think him being in her ear, right, him being a staunch Republican, and the state of the economy, the fact that this country is falling off a cliff, I think that is what took her to actually realize, okay, I'm going to vote Trump this time, right? Her husband definitely has been in her ear. But it's a shame that it takes this much for a woman to recognize reality versus a man recognizing it years ago, right? But it takes a woman forever. So, to me, this is a fascinating clip that I can't believe that BET even aired, right? I can't believe that BET aired it. But again, what you see here, I want you guys to notice before they go to the next group of people. You got the business owner, right, that is basically on the fence. Okay, he's like, I don't know if I can vote for Biden. This is terrible. This is the worst it's ever been. And then you have the family. You got the family that's clearly having to think about real world problems and issues with the economy, the state of the country. They just going full-blown Trump. Then they're going to talk to the college students in a minute.
A coveted demographic for both parties. President Biden received 91% of the black vote in 2020. Former President Trump only got 8%, but black men supported him at 3 times the rate of black women.
Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are investing a record $7 billion into HBCUs.
The Biden and Trump campaigns are also courting young voters who could be key. Something that is not lost on these students at historically black Clark Atlanta University.
What is the most important issue to you in this election?
Austin Euler is a Democrat.
Well, I think the biggest thing is start looking more in-house on our issues rather than always trying to be the world's savior.
Ajankaya Sumas is an independent.
Protecting my rights as a black woman, my right to abortion, I don't think any man should have any say in what I choose to do with my body.
And Jacob Jones is a Republican.
If we can just take steps towards clearing our debt, I feel like it'll be a better nation, a better country.
How are you feeling about this election?
I don't know if you can see me sweating right now. It just feels like it's the same as last time, and you're really basically forced to vote between 2 older people.
You used the word forced.
Yeah, it does feel kind of forced. If you go back to the Trump era, there's always going to be something in the news. If you want to stick with the Biden era, you have to just deal with the fact that a lot of people already have a viewpoint on him. All the good things he's done, it's hard to change someone's mind.
As a younger voter, I don't want somebody who's many generations ahead of me, Biden being one of the oldest presidents, and he's fairly older. Same with Trump.
I think of President Biden, he kind of sold a dream that he couldn't accomplish. His famous quote was that for African American, you weren't black if you didn't vote for Joe Biden.
What do you think?
Okay, so again, this guy right here, I'm gonna tell you, he gonna vote Republican, right? He gonna vote Republican, okay? This girl right here, she a Democrat, no matter what. This guy right here might be a toss-up, but I think he's going to vote Biden, right? That's what I think is going on here.
Vote for Joe Biden.
What do you think of former President Trump?
I think President Trump was a bad people's person, but a great leader. He put our economy in a booming state. He provided a permanent funding for all HBCUs.
This is also the same president who, when 5 minority young boys were arrested in New York for a crime they didn't even commit, said that we need to bring back the death penalty. So from a moral perspective, I can't agree or stand behind somebody when we have COVID-19 going around and you're calling it the Chinese flu.
Again, liberal brainwashing, right? Again, this is why black women, again, this is why they 95% vote for Democrats, right? Because of this type of brainwashing right here. Okay, she talking about Trump calling the coronavirus a China virus. Well, I mean, we found out that that's the most likely where it came from. It seems to be a fitting name, but it's crazy stuff like that these people vote based off of, and not the actual like state of the country. Okay, Again, this is the emotions. But see, when you actually get in the real world, right? When you got a family, when you're actually paying bills, these people aren't doing that, right? She's not doing that. She ain't got to worry about that. She worried about all types of other nonsense that don't really matter that much. She's not worried about the kitchen table issues. She's worried about the emotional stuff that Democrats love to play up, right? And then you can see why they do it, because this is how they think. This is what they're concerned about. You know, to me, this is why black women vote Democrat at 95% clip. Their priorities in the wrong place. They think emotionally.
Third party ticket. All of you, do you want to vote in this election?
Oh, yes, I'm still going to vote.
So you're not going to sit it out?
No, I'd never do that.
I feel like sitting out and not voting is basically staying quiet and mute. Our vote is our voice. Sitting out is just basically you're not doing a justice to yourself.
To help.
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that, okay? I think it's interesting what's happening. Again, I can't say for sure that black people will actually change their voting habits in this election. But to me, there seems to be more optimism and hope than there's ever been. We will see what happens when people actually go and vote. But as things currently stand, it looks like we may see some changes. But I don't know. I think a lot of it will depend on the state of the economy or how people feel about the state of the economy once the election actually is here. I think that's what it's going to come down to in regards to who's going to win, period. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a black conservative perspective. Peace.